fraction. Today we're going to talk about exponential graphs. So the parent function of an exponential graph is b to the x power. And an exponential graph can go either in growth or decay. If it's growth, then b is greater than 1. It will be a whole number. If it's decay, b will be less than 1. It will be a fraction. A growth graph will go up to the right. A decay graph will go down to the right. So if we're looking at these graphs, they can be translated or transformed. So if we're talking about transformations, here's the easiest way to look at it. If there's a negative, a number, let's say this was 3x minus 2 plus 1. Okay, so if this graph moved, this negative sign is telling us that it is reflected over the x-axis. So instead of looking like it's going up, now it's going to go downwards. The 2 would be a vertical stretch. If it had been 1/2, it would have been a compression. This -2 is telling us that it's moving 2 to the right. If it had been, because it was negative, if it had been +2, it would have been 2 to the left. And this +1 is telling us it's going up 1. So these are all of the transformations that may happen to the graph. Now, this +1 is also going to give us an asymptote. So let's talk about the asymptote. You normally have b of x. Whatever number is here, if it's plus or minus some number, this is your asymptote. That is the asymptote. So normally, if you have like 2 of x, there is no number, so the asymptote would be 0. But if it was 2 of x plus 1, then the asymptote would be 1. It's whatever the number is on the end. So if we look at the graph, to graph it, the first thing you're going to do is graph the asymptote. So let's work on this problem where it's 2x plus 1. We would graph the asymptote. The asymptote is plus 1. This was our asymptote. So we would draw a dotted line at 1. The second thing I would do is find my x-intercept. And to do that, I would just say y equals 0. So I would say 0 equals 2 of x plus 1. Well, I don't need a plus 1, so I'll subtract that and make it -1. -1 equals 2 of x, and then I'll write it as a log. But the log of -1 over the log of 2, except you can't have a -1 for a log, so there is no x-intercept. And then the third step is to find the y-intercept. And that's just making x equal 0. So it'll be 2 to the 0 power plus 1. So if you put it in the calculator, it will give you 2. Y equals 2. So we'll graph the 2 up here. And then the last step is it growth or decay? And in this case, it is growth. If it's growth, it's got to go up. So we'll go from here and we'll go up. And that's how you graph it.